Hey y'all. Happy Tuesday. Look at these curly curls doing whatever they want to do. Happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday. Still getting situated, but I'm going to give y'all a minute to get up in here. We are about to have some good dialogue. I am super excited for it. Hey, what's up, the Jazzy G? Welcome in, welcome in. We're about to get started. I am just waiting on our panelists to join me. What up, though? So we just gonna chill out for a minute. How is your day going? Since you are the first person to join us, I gotta get these bifocals right. Otherwise, I won't be seeing a thing. So yes, happy Tuesday. What's going on, the Jazzy G? There we go. Now I can see something. DeGraca, Marie, did I say that right? What's up, Marie? We're about to get started. I am just waiting on our panelists to join me. We are going to have another conversation today about sisterhood and self-care. And the conversation is going to be good. I'm super excited for it. So, y'all come on in. And our panelists will be joining me in about 2 or 3 minutes. Let me see if they are here yet. Not yet. But they coming. Happy Tuesday. Since it's Tuesday, for me it's Thirsty Tuesday. I don't know what y'all Tuesdays be about, but my week has already been very demanding, very fulfilling. So I am about to pour me a little shum to sip on. All right, Doctor. Let's see, who else do we have down here? Yes. All right, so we are waiting for Oshun. Hey,
Hey,
sis.
I
What's up?
made it.
You made it. Baby, we made it. You got that hair all
Yeah,
fried, dyed, laid to the side. Ah!
feeling my Mary Jane fabulousness.
Yes. As you should. As you should. Yeah, so we're just waiting for Oshun and TJ Self-Care to tap in. And then we'll get started. So as I mentioned, ladies, today we are again connecting on sisterhood, self-care, self-love, self-discovery, women's wellness and empowerment. And we just wanted to get together and have a little girl talk, a little kiki with y'all during the lunch hour, because that's all we got for y'all today is the lunch hour. We got to get back to the job. So yes, give us a minute. And let me see. I actually cannot see if anybody has messaged me.
I'm
Uh,
loving the branding. I see the sweatshirt. I love it.
we out
Very nice.
here. We out here. Yes, for those that don't know, I do have a tiny little branding shop here, and I do a little something every now and then. Now did I come up with a little something that look like something? Thank you, sis.
Marketing at its finest.
As you know. Um, and I shall be indulging in a bit of longevity today. For those that do not know, Longevity is a Black-owned wine brand. The winery is actually out in Livermore. And today I am sipping on this beautiful creation. So most of you will look at this and assume it is a rosé. It ain't though. This is actually their pink Pinot Grigio.
I gotta try that.
Now, I tasted this during the Black Vines event. They had a table, and I was like, "Oh, let me get some rosé." And they're like, "No, baby, not rosé." But once I tasted it, I fell in love. So that is what I am sipping on today.
That's the only white I like, Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio.
Yeah.
You know, Pinot Grigio is actually a red wine,
Oh,
meaning it's made from red grapes.
hmm.
Um, well, let me step back. Pinot Grigio is usually made from a combination of several grapes. Hi, hey, who's in Kenya? Peace, good morning or good afternoon. I'm not sure what time it is there. Thank you for joining us. So Pinot Grigio does have a red grape in most situations, actually in all situations. So technically it's a blend, but it does have a red grape. That's where it gets the red color from.
Okay.
It's just the fact that the grapes are only in contact with the skins for a very short period of time. So you don't get the extra tannins and that deep ruby color that you would normally get with traditional red wines.
That sounds good.
But this one is a pink Pinot Grigio. So I need to do my homework because Pinot Grigio is a white grape. But let's see, does it say if this is blended with
Oh,
anything?
wow. It's 10 o'clock at night? Wow. Thank you for joining us from Kenya. Blessings
Yes,
to you.
yes, thank you. Okay, let's see. We have Oshun is here. Hey,
That's
Oshun.
my girl. Let her in.
Come on in, sis. Okay, and so for those that don't know, as I mentioned, I'm sipping on some longevity. The founder of longevity is Mr. Phil Long. And exciting news, but I ain't gonna tell y'all now, so you gotta stick around to get the note later. Peace, Oshun. Welcome in, sis.
Peace and love. I'm drinking some prosperity too.
Yes, yes. All right. So I know Tanisha is going to join us. So you guys help me keep it on the mind so I don't miss her request to connect with us. But we are going to go ahead and get this conversation started. It's 12 o'clock and we were committed to starting at 12 o'clock. Okay, like I mentioned, we only here for lunch. That's it. We with y'all for the lunch hour and then we gotta go. We got other stuff to do. Let's see, let me get my little camera right. Okay, so how y'all doing?
Good. I'm excited about the event coming up, getting as prepared as possible, getting back to work. So things are good.
Awesome. How you doing, Ashun? You good?
I'm blessed. My place is doing something, but I feel really good. I feel really, really good. Like amazing.
Good. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so let's get into it. So, as all of you know, we have a sisterhood and self care women's wellness brunch that is taking place in Oakland on Sunday, March 30th. The event is officially sold out. It sold out almost 2 weeks ago. We do have a wait list. So if you're interested in joining the wait list, make sure you jump into my profile. Look for the link in my bio, the link tree link specifically. And that very first link is a link to our wait list. So as spaces open up, we are calling people from the wait list. Once you get an email from us telling you that you have access to purchase tickets, you should go ahead and use that link because it will expire within 24 hours. And then your space or the space that was once your space is going to be offered to the next person. Okay? So again, go ahead and join that wait list if you want to come hang out with us on Sunday, March 30th. So again, today we're just going to talk a little bit about a little sisterhood, self-care, self-love, and self-discovery. And we are going to do that around a topic that I really, really enjoyed and still enjoy, and that is being Mary Jane. Okay, so for those of you that may know or may not know or maybe don't remember, Being Mary Jane was a show that featured Gabrielle Union, my big sis, right? She was also my sis in Bring It On, which was my show back in the day for the cheerleaders out there. Okay, we still here. But nonetheless, so Gabrielle Union is the lead in the show, and it basically explores her life as a Black woman of power and the various hats that she wears, not just with her work responsibilities, but in her family, and then with the different challenges that she's facing when it comes to relationships, as well as self love self discovery and her personal desires. Some I think are her personal desires that she's come to on her own, and others maybe are desires that society has placed on us, or even expectations that society has placed on us as women, right? Okay, so um, let's first focus on the self-love component of the Being Mary Jane show. Now, Mary Jane had everything people say she should make a woman feel, or everything that people say would make a woman feel fulfilled. She had success, she had a beautiful home, designer clothes, a fly whip, excuse me, a fly car, okay, because the Porsche was hot. And yet there was still this constant search for more. What do you all think was missing for Mary Jane Paul?
That's a good question. I think oftentimes, if I'm remembering correctly, um she needed to treat herself with more like kindness and love and understanding. I feel like she was a little hard on herself, and I could be wrong. But some we have to embrace our flaws. Like, it's gonna happen. We're gonna be late. We're gonna do things we don't like. We're gonna say things we don't like. But we have to understand that it's gonna get better next time.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be okay with leaning on other people for support. That was one thing I did notice. I know the show was about Mary Jane, but I feel like she could have seeked more support from others. Like, she was trying to handle it all on her own. Like, we got this strong black woman. However, we need support and help too sometimes. So I think that's one thing that could have been done or portrayed different. Because in order to seek that self discovery, it's okay to ask for help, but we got to know where we're at deficit sometimes, or where we're challenged at sometimes, where we need to do things better. Like, we can always be better.
Well said. Anybody else? So, hey, TJ Self Care. We know you at
Hi.
work, so thank you for jumping in. I just want to repeat the question so you know where we are. All right. So, Mary Jane had everything people should say would make a woman feel fulfilled. She had success, a beautiful home, a beautiful car, designer clothes. However, there was still this constant search for more. So, the question is, what do you think was missing for her?
Well, for Mary Jane, I think it was a sense of like family and just the desire that someone was there for her, like a foundation. She didn't really have like a healthy support system. She a consistent, healthy support system, I should say. The character, she had her family, but her family was also very like emotionally reliant upon her. Um, and I think there was a level of control and what's the word? Like I think after a while, like she kind of started to put herself on a pedestal as I'm the provider of this family. Like, you guys need me. There's no benefit for me here. And thoughts like that often put us in another layer of isolation because even though someone may not be able to financially or emotionally uh, support us, there's other things about that person. There's other qualities. Everyone has good qualities. And I think within that character, she would have benefited more from tapping into like each individual support system she had to try to enhance it and see, okay, what is it about this friend or this person um, that does support me. I felt like the character put herself in a box often of feeling like she's the main person. She's the one that's strong in all these relationships, and that type of mindset doesn't turn out well for us in my experience.
Well said. Anyone
I
else?
agree. I agree with what both y'all said. Um, this energy of control and having to like make sure this is done and being in charge of everything is, there was a lack of, in my opinion, spirituality, of surrender and like femininity, like learning how to balance both of those, being this, passionate, successful, all the outer things, but it was the inner things that she really needed to tackle. Um, yeah, it was giving me like, now that I think about it, it was giving me some card energy. It was giving me Queen of Diamonds energy. It was like a Queen of Diamonds can be, the Queen of Diamonds sits in Saturn, so a lot of the lessons is going to require a lot of internal work, and then the outside will flourish. However, when all the concern is just outside impressions and things, then they will have all the glitz and gold and all the things, but that internal is going to be lacking until they really dig deep into themselves. So, in terms of glamour, yeah, she had that, but that internal was needed.
Um, so when I say I love this show, like I loved this show. I was living for being Mary Jane every week. Like, what is we getting into this week? Who is it? What is the situation? What's going on at work? What is it? There was a lot about the character that personally resonated with me. Um, I feel like society has placed on us as Black women this stereotype, and we can dive into this in a whole different conversation because it can really get deep. But the stereotype of the Black woman that's like superwoman, right? Can do all things, be all things to everyone, has to. And anything less than that is almost a sign of weakness. The thing that I felt Mary Jane was missing, I felt was self-love. I felt that she was looking to external forces to validate herself as a person. Watching how she often lashed out at everyone, it just made me think she was always so irritable and on edge. So as soon as something didn't go her way, she's like jumping on you and giving you all the business. So I really felt self-love and emotional intelligence and just balance. I felt she was uh, really missing for her. So how do you personally define self-love? What does it look like in real everyday life? I'm sorry, before I let you all answer that, I want to tap into something that's in the chat. Callie Wine said she was missing real, genuine connection. Yep, and her very own family was that she created. Yes, thank you. So the question is, how do you personally define self-love? What does it look like in real everyday life?
For me, that would be something as simple as just pampering yourself, maybe having a spa day. Um, my mom is big on like taking yourself on a date. Like a lot of times we have to do stuff with a sister, with a friend. But what about you? What just go out on a day and do something you want to do. And just making time for activities that bring you care and love and joy, and surrounding yourself with positive influences definitely is a way that I try to just keep my morale up and focus on me, focus on you, and that's okay. Recognizing again when you need to reach out for help, because going back to Mary Jane, if she was looking for love, but again, the self love needed to be more poured into. So you can't find love outside of self until you have it within. So Oshun really like pinpointed that in her comment.
Yeah, for me, self care, or was it self love? It's self love. well, self-love is self-care too, right? So how can I love myself the best? Like, how can I treat myself the best? If I know my mind is like this wondrous ball of energy, how can I let it wander in the best, highest vibrational, miraculous ways, right? So I love to wake up and just affirm myself, just declare things to myself, and really like direct the mood that I'm going in. Because there's so many things that can happen. You jump onto this, you wake up and it's the kids and all the things, right? But it's like I, I gotta pour into myself first so that I have something to give, so that I'm feeling like, yeah, yeah, shit is good. It's good. I love it here. I love being a human, like getting into that vibration has really been how I've been loving on myself, and it's attracted so much, even just in short periods of time, so I,
I've been on a journey of trying to really identify who I am. So much of myself was just wrapped in negative, like core beliefs that I had, and the things that other people told me I should do or should be doing. And so self-love has been a holding compassion for myself, like as I go on this journey of almost like redefining who I am, outside of what my parents told me I should be, outside of what teachers told me I should be, like outside of my friend group, like really trying to explore, but who is Tanisha? Like what are my values that I want to live by in my life? Like what are my core beliefs? Like who am I as an individual? Like what triggers me, and how can I work on resolving that within myself? So I love what Oshun said. It's like, so we can live on that higher plane and higher vibration of life. So self-love has almost been like a journey of me, like going on. First, it felt like a scavenger hunt, trying to figure out who I am. But now it feels more like a journey. Like it feels more like, okay, like Ocean said, like, okay, I love it here. I like it here. Now let me try to get this to a space where it says just all Tanisha, and it no longer says like mom, dad, great aunt, grandmother. And don't get me wrong, it's like people have given me positive messages, but I also got a lot of negative messages, and I know they didn't mean it in that way, but that was the end result. And so I've been doing some cleaning work. I almost look at healing like a house, right? Like I feel like I lived in the basement for so many years, and now I'm finally realizing like, oh, there's a first floor, there's a second floor. Like, there's a lot of me that I could be tapping into outside of just living in this, quote unquote basement mindset. So it's been a journey.
I love that. The acknowledgement or realization, really the realization and then the acknowledgement that you were in the basement of this beautiful home and that there are levels and new experiences as you are able to kind of elevate to that new space. For me, self love is acceptance. It's giving myself, extending inwardly the same thing that I would normally extend without thought to others. And that is grace, compassion. I'm always understanding of someone else's situation, and I give them the benefit of the doubt and sometimes another chance when I know I shouldn't have. But I realized I wasn't doing that for myself. So hard on myself and disappointed if I didn't do it right the first time out the gate, and disappointed when I fail, and things of that sort. So for me, self-love is really about just giving myself grace, being compassionate with myself. It's also boundaries, is what I've learned at this point. Because instead of me giving and trying to be everything and help and love on everyone else, I'm sorry, my tiny
We see it in real time, giving that love to others.
All right. I was just thinking that. Oh gosh.
Yeah. That's a real thing too, the shiny said, like, that's a real thing. And even with the boundaries, like for so long I used to think it was about other people. But then as I started to grow, I'm like, oh, this is really within me. Like, it's not about trying to set the boundary to prevent them from hurting me. It's about setting the boundary so that I don't hurt me and I don't exhaust myself. Like I didn't get that before. I feel like this is stuff they need to be teaching in school. They need to have courses about this stuff.
And
Absolutely.
TJ, I don't.
Go
Oh, sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I don't know if you felt that going through your program, but if I may say, in my learning the white man's psychology, it was very dissonant from when I was participating with the black psychologist, and it was just about looking within, relying on your ancestors, how your culture impacts you. So I would love if they taught this in school, but they ain't, unfortunately. But that's why we're here.
Right.
That's exactly why we're here. All right. If we're not going to our own schools and creating our own spaces, that's what culture is. That's what community is, to be able to instill those things. That's why Saturday schools, it's like you got to get Eastern and the West, because we living in these times. So it is that duality, that harmonization that's necessary.
All right, Pisha, thank you. I appreciate you extending grace to me as I was in conversation with my tiny little creation. So, yes, it's real over here, especially for women, and then a whole different level for mothers. Um, for so many women, self love is a journey, one with highs and lows. What was a turning point for you in your own personal journey with self love? So I don't mind sharing mine. Um, okay, so the turning point for me in my personal journey with self love um, came at a point when I had a traumatic personal experience as a woman. And essentially, I had an ectopic pregnancy. I was trying to tiptoe around it, but that's what it was. And it was an extremely traumatic experience because I found out that I could have lost my life in the midst of that experience. What was most challenging for me was the after effects of the experience because the physical, I think, has a stronger chance of healing or heals quicker or maybe even fuller than sometimes the mental, emotional, and spiritual. Um, and so during that time, I had two other very close friends that were also pregnant. Both of them have beautiful children now. And I can remember them inviting me to their to their baby showers. Um, and I couldn't go. I couldn't have a conversation. I was so locked within what I was personally experiencing that I couldn't even verbalize how much pain I was in and how challenging things were for me in the moment. And after, as I was healing from this, I carried a lot of guilt and personal disappointment because I couldn't be there for them in that moment. And at some point, it really started to weigh on me. And that was when I first sought out therapy as support. That's when I first started doing yoga and just trying to find a way to move beyond not only the physical traumatic experience, but the emotional, mental, and spiritual experiences that I also encountered. And I just learned that I have to, again, give myself compassion. And it's okay to not be able to show up for everyone else when you're also having a hard time showing up for yourself. And just hope that the people I love would understand that given what I've been through, that I just didn't have the capacity to be present, that it wasn't a lack of desire. It was just a lack of emotional, spiritual, and mental clarity and balance that was preventing me from being able to be present. So that was a big turning point for me personally when it comes to my journey of self-love.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. You,
Oh,
you
that was
touched.
beautiful. Well, I guess oh, go ahead, Doctor.
No, it's your turn, babe.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess mine was more so probably after my dad died. Um, that was the biggest one because I really had lost. I had been going to therapy and I had been, praying and going to church and journaling and doing all these things for about 5 years. And I felt like I finally got to a space of where I wanted to have a conversation with him about where he was when I was younger. And I went, like it was my third, because my birthday is January 1st. I went that week because he lived in Florida, and I flew out there to have the conversation. And my therapist had prepped me, and then I had prayed and everything, and I went and we had the conversation, and things were great. And I shared with him, because my dad was like, he was like a manly man, kind of speak, like in his 70s, kind of old school from the South, and he was like, well, I don't really know what do I do now? I mean, I'm 72, you 35, like, what you want me to do? And that would have hurt me if he would have asked me that, like, when I was 30. But I had gained a lot of emotional, like, maturity and capacity, praise God, by 35. And so I told him, I was like, well, I'm an adult, you're right, but it's going to look like you, like, helping me. Like, I don't know how to choose the right guys, like, I don't know how to change a tire. I don't know how um, to really like communicate sometimes, like with the opposite sex. Like it would be nice to like play basketball with you or just walk through the park with you holding hands. And he was laughing. He was like, oh, well, that's easy. I could do all that. And so we started reading books together, and I remember he bought me. My daddy's so funny. He bought me that Steve Harvey book. We was reading "Act Like a" what was it? "Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man." We was reading like 2 chapters a week, and I came down there again to see him, and he taught me how to change a tire. Um, and everything was really good. And we had that for about 6 months, and then he had a stroke. Um, and we thought he was going to be okay. And while he was in the hospital, 2 weeks later, he had another stroke. And so he died. And I was just really, really stuck. I didn't know what to do, kind of. I was numb a little bit, and my coping mechanism is working. And I had put out my first book. And so, kind of similar to Shawnee, it's like people see the outside of us, right? So, all people see is me posting and, doing all this stuff to prep for the book. And nobody knows that I'm able to do all this stuff because I can't sleep at night. It's like every time I would wake up, I would just start working because I didn't know what else to do. And I was angry with God because I felt like I had spent all my life telling him that I wanted this relationship with my dad, and I didn't understand why I only got it for 6 months. Um, so that was a turning point for me that I'm actually just now getting out of. Uh, and it feels really good to kind of be able to see the sun a little bit. But it was hard in the beginning, but it did teach me um, what self love was really, really all about. Because I had a similar experience to you, Shani. I didn't have the words to tell people what was going on because I didn't know, because a lot of, and then I'm going to be quiet after this, but one thing I learned is people will look at your past and they will assume that it shouldn't be this bad because of past knowledge they have about us or about our experience. Because a lot of people said stuff like, well, you weren't really close to your dad, so I don't understand, like, why, how come you're still thinking about him? And yeah, I found that really interesting, that we assume because we don't have relationships with people that is not supposed to hurt is bad, or it shouldn't have the same feeling, like I'm not seeing my dad every day or talking to him every day like other people, but it's not that I'm not knowledgeable of that. That pain still lies within me that I don't have the relationship that I want to have, and so my pain runs deep as if he was in the same city as me, and I did talk to him every day. I was blessed. My dad actually did call me 3-4 times a week. I know everybody doesn't have that experience, but it would have been nice to physically be able to go see him, sometimes. But yeah, that was my turning point.
Yeah, Tanisha, that's major because, like you were mentioning, how people externally will judge how we feel when we're sharing we're in pain. And um, recently, and I say recently because it's been within the last 2 years, I was on a personal journey, as I've talked about in different ways on different platforms. And during that time, I knew I was in need. I recognized it. I recognized that something was not okay. And I reached out to um, my closest group of friends, those that I communicated with the most on a consistent basis, and they didn't believe me. They again, people sometimes look at you for how you show up in the world, not realizing that sometimes all the things you're doing and all the hats you're wearing sometimes is to distract us from the pain that we're really dealing with on a personal level, right? Because not all of us know how to deal with these things and confront them in order to heal from them. And so for me, it was always, what board can I get on? How can I help here? How can I support here? Because I'm not receiving the help that I need personally. So let me help somebody else. So I think that's big, especially for us as Black women, that we need to learn how to not be so judgmental of others on their journeys, and recognize that what hurts or causes pain for someone else may not affect us in the same way, but there should not be any judgment or expectation for someone else to move through their journey in the way that we would, right? We don't know what else they've been through. We don't know what else they're carrying, what experiences they've encountered. We really don't know any of that. You know, so I think it's important for us to really lead with compassion. Anyone else want to share on that?
Oh shoot. Oh, okay. Well, in my case, my turning point came in graduate school. I didn't realize that it was gonna be so much of a struggle as it was. But being one of the only persons of color in my graduate program was a lot for me. And I didn't have a mentor or an advisor that I felt that I could seek out for help or guidance, and that's actually where my business that I'm starting grew from, because I don't want other students in these programs to not have any guidance and not have any outlet or anyone that knows what they're going through. So that's why I started Black Women's IDs, and it's just happening now. But if I would have had something like that going through my turning point time, it would have been a dramatic shift. And that's why it took me a long time to even know what I was going to do outside of my 9 to 5 job. But now that I do, I just want to be able to pour into these students and just provide more mental health awareness. Because a lot of times, you know, when we grew up, it was like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. You got this. Like, yeah, you might have it, but you also may need like an external source of support as well. So when I was forced to graduate from my program, you had to seek a certain number of hours of therapy. And it took me a while because I had certain stipulations that I wanted. I wanted it to be a provider of color. And I went and I just knew it was going to be a Black woman at first, and she wasn't it. And then I found this guy, he was an MFT, and I'm like, oh my God, like, where have you been all my life? So I was just so blessed to have him in my life. It really had me check myself and some of my values. And like Tadisha was saying, just look at some of my core beliefs, which were somewhat negative in a way, really address like my automatic thoughts on how I can just be there and show up more for myself. So my turning point was really in graduate school, being one of only person of color, and now I can give back to others full circle through my business. And I just appreciate Shani for allowing this platform for that. So I'm just so blessed to see it. It's maybe took 10 years, but hey, I'm getting here. I'm on my journey. Remember the Tanisha was saying a scavenger hunt? Oh, it's been a hunt for sure. But now the journey is like, oh, I'm realizing this is what I was supposed to do, where I was supposed to be. So I'm just so blessed.
I share to that. Always in due time. Always in due time. I was listening to something earlier, and she was saying, um, we're always trying to help and support and all these things, but we have to be in a place to receive in order to be able to give. She said some things after that that was so profound. I just had to pause it because I knew it was getting ready to jump on here, but I was just like, oh, she hit it with that. Like, you got to be able to receive, because that's how that reciprocity wheel works. You can't just give, and not know how to receive, not know when to receive. It's like knowing when to go and when to stop. You know, that light going to turn green eventually, or it's going to start flashing, and you have an opportunity, right? So, reciprocity is huge. There was something in the question that I wanted you to repeat, but it was What was the turning point, Shani?
Let me see. What was the turning point for you? Um, oh, okay. Oh, here it is. What was the turning point for you in your own journey when it comes to your journey of self-love?
Okay, yeah. So I feel like I've always been on that journey, just in regards to how my life started, having health complications pop up a lot. Um, and so it always brought me to points of like isolation, very Neptunian energy where, sickness lies, but also everything lies, expansion and imagination and creativity and all these things. Um, but a huge turning point for me was recently also, like Tanisha said, um, or at least that you were coming out of it recently, 2023, deciding to separate from my 13, 14, 15-year relationship. Um, it was very challenging. Like, it was a whole somatic, just energy in my body where the pull was just that strong. And sometimes feel a pull that's like mental, spiritual, but it was just completely visceral, all of it, where it was just like, this is going to change lives. But, but my spirit is calling so deep, like, I need this separation. I need this time. I have to do it. Or I'm literally going to die, you know. And I truly felt that and knew that. Um, and it was an energy of love in the form of trusting myself, my intuition, trusting spirit, trusting God. Like, yeah, it looks, it looks like, yeah, but um, you're going to thrive. You know, you need this. You need to see these things. You need to learn these things. You need to sit yourself down. And at this time, this is the only way that you're able to do it in the most healthiest, productive, high vibrational way. And so leaving was like some supreme self love. So,
Thank you for sharing that. Something so personal. I think it just reminds me how it's always hard to leave situations, people, places, things that have become such an integral component of our daily life. Like, it takes a lot of strength, physical, mental, and emotional strength, to be able to remove yourself from a space that's become home. A space that you've known as home for however long. And then to be accepting of the fact that the journey is going to be different going forward. Because I think that's usually most of our fears. Like, even when we leave a relationship, like, I think about when my ex and I separated. And I knew we weren't supposed to be together. I knew that. I knew that. I ain't need nobody to tell me that. But every time I got ready to do it, was like, nah, not today, not today, not today. And then I can remember the when we finally had our little split, and I can remember watching him walk off with his stuff, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, nah, 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 it's cool, it's cool. I was just playing. Come back, come back. But I'm like, nah, because otherwise we end up on this consistent cycle, right? And we know internally, mentally, and emotionally, it's not where we're supposed supposed to be, and maybe we can't see into the future to determine where we're supposed to go next, but it's really about trusting in the journey, having faith, and just understanding that if it doesn't feel right mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever it is for each of us, that the universe wouldn't give us more than we can bear. You know, it's not going to be easy, but what in life really has been, you know, at the end of the day, what in life really has been
It's easy.
easy. You said
But
what?
it is easy.
But it
It's
is. But it
trust. If
is.
you get to that point of
But it
trusting,
is.
it's easy. It's no
But it
worry.
is, yeah. But mentally, it feels like, and that's usually the part that we lead with, is the mind, the thoughts, the anxiety, depression, the stress around, and the fear really is probably the biggest part around this big change. But you're right. Um, it definitely, it definitely gets to a position or a point where you get an opportunity to kind of exhale and to really just breathe in some fresh air. Um, okay, so next I want us to talk about self-care, but we are at 12:45, so I really want to get into this love and boundaries because I feel like that's kind of where we just went in this conversation. So now Mary Jane had a complicated relationship with love, as we all know. Sometimes settling, sometimes chasing, sometimes running from situations. What do you think was the biggest challenge when it came to relationships for Mary Jane?
Relationships are all a reflection. That's all I have to say.
That's big. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she belittled her partners often. You know, she would put herself in situations where things would happen, and then when she would realize the situation she would put herself in, she would flip it as if everything was the other person's fault. In particular, I'm thinking about shout out, I love Amari, but I'm thinking about Amari Hardwick. I forgot his character's name, but when she found out he was married, she took it more like an opportunity to kind of like be the best and be better than his wife. And then when she realized she didn't want to put herself in that particular situation, she just kind of projected everything back to him, even though his character had taken the steps to separate from his wife, to move in with her, to give her the things that she said she wanted. When she realized she didn't want it, it was now all his fault, and he was using her. And I felt like that was interesting because, I mean, like Ocean said, everything is it's a reflection, right? And she has some of those same dynamics within herself. You know, I love this part of myself, but I don't like this about myself. And because I don't like this about myself, this is the focus, and this what is what needs to change. But I think it also prevented her in just living in the joy, right? Like I felt like her character had so many, I wish this was different, I wish this was different, that she wasn't really living in the reality, but your life as is can still bring you joy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's joy in being single and not having to take care of children. There's joy in being able to have money and go shopping and go to restaurants and do all these things you want. There's joys in being an auntie, you know, versus just looking at I have to pay for everything. Like you like you know what I mean? Like and I'm not trying to minimize like the character's reality. I'm just saying like I just wish she would have looked at the things that were good, because I think that would have benefited her in her relationships, you know.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, what you're speaking of, Tanisha, just reminds me or makes me feel that she tended to display this feeling of a savior. It was almost like she always had to fly in and fix the situation. as you mentioned, situations that she often created originally, and so I think back to um, when she was back in relationship with, I think his name was Michael, the bald-headed, slim brother, fair complexion, and he texted her. Maybe it was Facebook or whatever the app was in the show, because there wasn't no F on the app. But whatever the app was, he jumped in her inbox. And he's like, "What's up? You working late?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, you want to grab dinner sometime?" She's like, "Yeah, sure. When?" And he's like, "Now." And so she sits there and she contemplates and she's like, "Yes!" Exclamation mark. So she gets up, she goes to meet him. She pulls up right next to the restaurant. She looks inside. She sees him sitting there waiting for her. She then calls him on the phone and she's like, we both grown. So let's just call this what it is, a late night booty call. We don't have to do all these extras around it. So then she's like, so next time you want to invite me to dinner, maybe a 2-day notice would be great. And I'm like, wait a minute, where was all these thoughts before you jumped back in the DM and agreed? Like, how do you get to, so I found that interesting. And then I guess at some point they ended up spending some time. And then all of a sudden you see him at her house. He's there like every day after day after day. He's staying the night. And then Omari shows up in the driveway. He's at the gate. And a boy is like, "Oh, who is that outside the Beamer?" She like, "Oh no, he lost. I don't know him." And all of a sudden, Omari is like putting the code in the gate, right? Don't know she changed it, but he's reaching to the gate. And so the other brother is like, "Oh, I'm finna go outside and talk to him." So she goes and hides in the corner. He walks outside and talks to him. And, he gives him some excuse like, "Oh, I pulled over to send a text message. So, I'm at the wrong house." And so to me, that kind of told the brother that she was dealing with that, okay, we're in this open-ended relationship. So for those of you that are just joining us, we're talking about sisterhood, self-care, self-love, and how it relates to one of our favorite, at least my favorite shows, Being Mary Jane, featuring Gabrielle Union. Um, and so then after that, what I found interesting was the next time the brother wanted to hang out with her, she said she was busy at work. So that was a long story, but I'm bringing you back. She said she was busy at work. She couldn't go to the concert he bought tickets for. So he's like, okay. He invites someone else to go to the concert with him. She calls later that night and she's like, "Who you with? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm meeting a friend at the concert." "Oh, is it a woman?" "Yes, a woman." "You being intimate with her?" He's like, "I mean, I don't know. Like, we have in the past, but we just friends going to the concert. Like, I don't want to jump to conclusions that it's going down, but we have been intimate in the past." So she hangs up on him, throws the phone. A few minutes go by. She calls him back, and she's just running him down. And I'm thinking to myself, but Mary Jane, you created this situation. You told him originally you wouldn't meet him for the chicken and waffles because it's a booty call, so call it what it is. So when did you decide by yourself that this is something more? And why are you trying to hold this man to a whole different standard that you haven't even prepared him for? So she just tended, for me, she tended to have this savior complex where she creates the situation and then, ha ha ha, let me come in and do what's right. I'm superhuman. I can fix this. I know what's expected of me. And so to me, that just said that I felt she was out of touch with her truth, whatever her truth was. Right. So, I know I've belabored that conversation, but
No, but I think it all goes back to not clearly communicating what her needs were. Like, she was, at times she would be a little bit all over the place, and I'm like, let's funnel it down. What do you what do you need? Let's do a top three or something. Because even going back to like her post-its on the mirror, like, I'm a big checklist and post-it person, and I just wasn't it a time like she was like not wanting somebody to see that. Like, at times our biggest quirks or what we may feel is our downfall is what somebody else needs to learn from us. So I'm like, and that was something so small, like you giving yourself the self love, the mantras, and all that good stuff you needed by putting it somewhere that you could see it first thing in the morning. But I want to say when Omari was over, she didn't want none of that to be shown.
Right. She was ashamed all of a sudden. It's a secret.
Correct. And I'm like, but that's what makes you you. That's what he loves about you. So, yes, again, communicating clearly what we need and being okay with enforcing those boundaries. But I'm in agreement with everything that y'all said. Mary Jane was kind of a mess, but aren't we all?
Right. Right. She was living our truths for us. It was on the TV to see. Yeah, and he did. He even pointed out some and validated her. He did. He did. I mean, I always felt it was so interesting, even her relationship with the group of ladies, right? Because you have all these beautiful black women who are dominating within their career, right? And they all have different perspectives on relationships. And at one point, Mary Jane was having this girl night at her house. She invited the girl, Tamiko, who took Mary Jane's old job at CNN, right? So, Mary Jane's being like, oh, ha, 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 it's so good to see you. So they're all talking, and Tamiko has this big diamond, and she's showing it off, and Mary Jane is like really just having a hard time emotionally, right? Watching and embracing this. And so then as they continue drinking, Tamiko is like, I bought this ring. He didn't even buy it. I told him I didn't want the one he bought me. It was too small. And she was like, I wish I had just accepted the love that he was giving me versus making him feel like he's inadequate and he can never live up to my expectations. And so I really appreciated some of the candid conversations that they had as women, just kind of expressing their struggles and challenges, and how on the outside it may seem real buttoned up, suit and tie pulled together real nice, but you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes, you know. Okay, so we talk a lot about boundaries, um, and setting them, but how do you personally navigate setting and maintaining boundaries when it comes to relationships, friends, and work?
Well, my work boundaries had to get stronger, uh, because once I realized that I overworked, then it kind of, I became more aware of it. And so when I'm putting in 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 days, now I'm asking myself, Tanisha, what's really going on? you know, are you avoiding something? Is there something you don't want to talk about? Does this work really need to get done? And if so, do you have to work overtime, or is this a time management thing? So I had to set boundaries with that. But with my friends, it's just been more of a space of me kind of setting boundaries with myself, because I used to like overbook and triple book myself. The people pleasing that we always be talking about kicked in hard. And so I had to set a boundary to not do that, to not have certain conversations, to not talk to certain friends when they are going through high energy like experiences if I'm exhausted. Because I would stay up on the phone with people, go to people's house, like anytime a crisis came. Um, and then it would just never be enough, because I wouldn't be able to read, like, okay, does this person, do they just need me for this moment, or is this someone who is almost like an empty cup, a cup with a hole in it? it doesn't matter how much time I give you because you're going through so much. You're constantly going to be pulling on me. Like, I didn't know how to assess people's capacity. So I had to learn how to do that, and set the boundaries. And, um, yeah, I mean, I don't have kids or, I'm not in a relationship. So, I guess that part, the family boundaries is a little bit easier. I care for my mom, so that's always a battle. But other than that, it's kind of like been a day to day living. I felt like setting boundaries would be easier, than it really is, but it's looking like the boundary really is me. Like setting boundaries within myself so that I'm not doing too much or putting more on people than they can hold. Because I had a bad issue with that. Like, I wouldn't trust people at all. And then when I trust you with one thing and you don't do it right, like now I'm furious. And I just cut you off or whatever. And that wasn't working out well for me either.
Yeah, I think personally I've definitely struggled with setting boundaries when it comes to friends and work. Um, I love problem solving. I love fixing. I love helping. I love healing. But at the beginning of and the end of that, right? The alpha and the omega of that is that you can't fix or heal everything and everybody. Um, and so once I came to a space of accepting that, and even going deeper into that, once I came to a space of understanding that the building is not going to burn down if you don't volunteer to do this one thing. If you don't, jump in the car at 2 in the morning, pulling up because somebody's in need, they gonna be all right. If you don't answer that phone call at 3:30, they gonna figure it out. And so I think that was my biggest struggle is feeling like I have to be the one to be there for everyone else, and not acknowledging the fact that I need also someone to be there for me, and that could be just me, right? But there's no room for me if I'm constantly running to someone else's aid.
Well, in my case, I really had to take a step back in terms of work. I had to take some time off to so I could come back and set better boundaries because I was just letting them trample all over them, and it just left me depleted. So now I'm back stronger, better than ever, so that I can, have something to give. Because, like Shawnee was saying, if you giving, but not receiving, it's hard to work with others, and work with yourself. And I think I know our topics today was like self care, self love, boundaries. But what we've all been touching on is also like our level of emotional intelligence. Like, how do we manage our own emotions? How do we recognize the influence of ourself and others, and how we're able to self regulate, motivate ourselves and others? So, I just love that this conversation because we're touching on things that we don't even know because we're all feeling it. We're all doing it in our own way, and it's just such a great uh blessing to like have this space to do that. So, and just talk about it because we do it. I know me and Tanisha are doing it for work, but to talk about it and really figure out where it comes from, that's a big deal as well.
So that's interesting. So where do you think it comes from?
Where do we think the emotional intelligence
No, I'm
or
sorry. I was asking, where do you think it comes from? Like this idea of superwoman when it comes to Black women in our community, for us to be expected to carry all, be all, show up for everyone, do all the things, fix all the things, carry all the things. You got it, you got it, you got it. Like, where does that come from?
I feel like it's generational because my mama was doing it, her mama was doing it. So it's just like a learned behavior. But yeah, we got to know how to scale back somewhat. And please, I want to hear from the other ladies too. But I just feel like I saw it, so I did it.
That kind of ties into what I was gonna say, to bring some astrology into it, right? But I mean, we're the black woman. We're the first, Mama Africa, we the one. Um, and but how we've interpreted that over eons of time, right, has been different and has changed and has shifted. Um, and now we're in a place where we talk about these things, where we're getting back to having communities of women to support each other, to love on each other, to be in joy together, to rest together, all these things. Um, and so I feel like we're always going to be a pillar. It's just what kind of example of pillarship, do we want to be? Because even in our resting mode and our nurturing mode, we're still leading, we're still being a great example, and still supporting, just in a different capacity. And I feel like as I was listening to y'all talk about boundaries, and I was just like, okay, well, you kind of learn boundaries based on what you don't like, right? And then you can say, okay, well, I don't like this, so what do I like? And that led me to thinking about the energy of Venus, right? This Venus, Venusian attraction, values, all these things. Um, and how we start our Venus period in terms of cardiology, right? Because I'm a cardiologist. We start our Venus period at the age of 13. So there, there's some limitations, right, to how you can express what you like and what you don't like, depending on the environment that you grew up in. Were you allowed to say no? I don't want to do that, or I don't like doing that. To be able to have that boundary established, even if they still was like, yeah, okay, I understand that, but as a collective, as a family, everybody has their job and you still need to do it. But still being able to express that, right? I feel like a lot of folks, especially in my generation, you talking back. What? A conversation about it? No. So it's like that will and that energy of your boundaries and things that you found valuable was not taken seriously or valued, to some capacity. And so coming into that, into your 20s all the way up to 25ish, before you start your Mars period, um, you're still working through that. You're still filling things out, whether you went to college or whatever, you moved out on your own, you're still finding those things out. And so, yeah, yeah, a lot plays into that. For me personally, yeah, I still struggle. I don't want to say struggle. I'm still challenged by certain boundaries because I think they change and shift depending on where I am, and the growth and the elevation that I am embodying. So yeah, that's my take on
Okay, so before we close, I just want to ask about joy. So, as women, especially Black women, there's like this unspoken pressure to always be strong, always be achieving, always have a goal, a vision, something in mind. Um, how do you personally balance ambition with rest, and joy. And actually, before I even get to that, maybe we should just define joy first. So we're having the same conversation. Like, what is joy to you? What does joy mean? How does it feel? How does it show up for you personally?
Joy for me has shown up as how I nurture myself, my mindset, acknowledging that I may be experiencing a bad moment, a bad day, even a bad season, but not allowing it to make me believe that this is going to be forever. You know, I used to think happiness was the main thing I was searching for, and then I realized what happiness is temporary. Like, what I really want is joy. To be able to know that the next day is going to be better. To have that level of just hope, within myself, um, and also just faith and trust in God too. That the outcome that He desires for my life is is bigger, and it is filled with joy. It is filled with love. It is filled with the desires of my heart. Um, so I'm going to work on, delighting in Him, so that I can see the image that He has in my life versus allowing my temporary, situation to make me feel like that's the outcome of my life. Um, so I've been working on that.
And I think for me, joy comes in just those ordinary moments. Like, well, I don't know, maybe when I'm with my son, or maybe when I'm just getting some peaceful time in the car by myself, or is- some of the self-care stuff that we was talking about really could also be something that brings joy as well. But we don't have to look too far. It's right there. It's right there, and just making sure we maintain our spirituality. I know that's a big thing for all of us, to just help keep us grounded. But joy is all around us. We just have to be open to accepting it.
Joy is like a byproduct of gratitude, right? Once you can be grateful for where you're at and what is and what's now and what's going to be, it's like a byproduct, and it's what comes after, you know, um, regardless of what's going on.
You definitely just hit it on the head for me, Oshun. Joy is definitely after coming to the point of being accepting and grateful for what you have been through as compared to where you are today. Acknowledging the journey, the highs, the lows. Um, I think for me, when I initially read the question, what came to mind for me was that joy is just peace. You know, the saying, it is what it is. And I'm going to stand in this and be present for it and not question the things around me, but just understand that there's something greater later. I just have to continue to be um, faithful and walk my journey and be accepting of what's coming with it. So for me, joy is really about peace. I think joy is also about, I think there's also a component of joy that involves pleasure, right? It's almost like that internal smile. And I don't even know how to explain it or express it, but I know often um, when I'm going through whatever I'm going through, there's like this warmth that I feel internally. And sometimes it even brings tears to my eyes because it's just this feeling of gratitude and contentness for being where I am today and not where I was yesterday, last week, last year, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. Just this deep, deep, deep rooted gratitude for coming through it and being beyond it, but also acknowledging that there are always going to be ebbs and flows. And now I know how to deal with some of these ebbs and flows, right? I don't have to be questioning or even fearful of them because we've already met each other. We know each other. Like, I know you bobbing, I know you weaving, I know what your moves are. I just have to remember that I've overcome you once before, baby. So you still not gonna get me this time, and to me, that's a big piece of joy for me personally, because I think sometimes we can get mentally overwhelmed. It's easy to get mentally overwhelmed when we're dealing with situations because we're thinking what happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future, and it creates this space of anxiousness, which may and can transition into this space of stress. And too much stress can transition into this space of depression, right? And we know when depression comes, joy is like, psh, ain't no room for me. There's no room for joy when we're sitting or carrying so much. So I'm definitely learning personally to just be grateful for where I am, accepting of I'm not where I was, and there's always something greater coming for me in the future, and just trusting in that. So thank y'all, ladies. I appreciate you being here and talking about being Mary Jane. This is the first of many conversations that we will have around sisterhood, self-care, self-love, and self-discovery. I just appreciate you being here with me in sisterhood. The next conversation will be on Sunday. So hopefully y'all got y'all tickets, okay? Sunday, Sisterhood and Self-Care in Oakland. Women's Wellness Brunch at Calabash. Longevity Wines is our official exclusive wine partner for the event. So we will be sipping on this amazing Black-owned wine brand from Livermore, created and founded by the amazing Phil Long. There will be bottles available for purchase. Okay, so if you haven't gotten your ticket, we're sold out, but you don't have wait list because the magic happens sometimes. Sometimes there's a little magic in the room. I received some messages this morning about some very dynamic women from Southern California and up in Sacramento who will be blessing us with their presence. So I am super excited to connect with not just the three of you, because y'all know I love y'all in sisterhood, but for all of us to connect together in sisterhood and just love on Oakland, love on each other, and just be a true reflection of what it truly means to be in sisterhood and on this healing journey together, because we don't have to be alone.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. So again, thank you all. Does anyone want to say anything before we close out? Thank all of you in the chat room that have hung out with us, that enjoyed the conversation. There will be many, many more of these. This is just the beginning. If you have topics around sisterhood, self-care, self-love, or self-discovery that you would like for us to explore, please jump in my DM. Jump in my DM. Send me those topics. Don't worry, I won't blast you. I don't have to say it was you. I'll just pose it to the group. All right, y'all. Peace, love, and hopefully we'll see you on Sunday. Bye.
Bye.